You know I wake up like this. I think it's pretty cool. Or I can just go. I think it's getting too long to do this. I go down. Or I can go. This way is just not natural feeling to me. Why do you do that? That's actually kind of cute. You can just kind of flip the back. Sorry, this is the first time I looked in the mirror. Okay. Anyway, that's not what I came on here for. So I have a app named TimeHop, and it will tell you what happened in your life on today, every day. I've done it for 4 years now. It even says it at the very end. You get a banner, how many years you've done it. I have 4. Anyway, this one today. What is today? I didn't even register what day it was. 14th, August 14th. It's 2025, so 7 years ago, I attended physical therapy assistant school. And there's this little trail, Kansas Trail. It was only about 5 blocks long, paved. And the trees are obviously different, and there's not a lot of greenery or anything. In Oregon, it's dark. If you go on a trail, it's dark. I mean, if it's sunny, some light shines through, which you need to do. Otherwise, don't go there. But you could walk these yeah. It wouldn't be that dangerous, put it that way. Because you all can see through them. There's not very much trees. It's not dense at all. Anyway. And then I took a picture of the PTA school. Just one little tiny building. And then the dorm complex that I lived in. I had my own room. I did. It was called like a adult student room. Because I lived in the dorms. And dorms usually, this just feels too heavy. That's probably why I don't do that. I'm sorry. It's driving me crazy. The dorms usually have 18. Usually they graduate high school and then they go there. So a lot of my classmates were a lot younger than me. Or at least the early 20s. I was 30. I was 30 when I went. So 7 years ago. And then there's, on this walk, there's a rock with engraved in it. Black. It's a rock and it's engraved. And it says, a journey, no matter how long, always starts with one step. So a journey, no matter how long it's going to take you. This is going to take motherfucking 15 years. Like, I don't know. Time's going to pass anyways. It is. One step. Just it. Just one step. One a day. One step. I don't know. It just made me reminisce about when I wanted to work in... I went to PTA school because I've always done something that's related to my health. Maybe that's why God did this to me. Because I was stagnant. I was stagnant. I lost. It's been a ride. So I went to PTA school because I went to physical therapy for myself ever since I was like I was in high school. I remember trying to stand up in church one day. I just couldn't stand up. I had a really tight or sharp pain in my hip. And that's when I started going to physical therapy. It's really changed over the years. More advanced. Because I went and got I got an x-ray. And they took the x-ray of me laying down. And the x-ray showed that I had scoliosis. Curvature of the spine. I think that's what it's called, scoliosis. My dad wanted a second opinion. I think that's how that came about. Anyway, my dad took me. Otherwise, everything medical was done by my mother. My mother's an RN. My dad doesn't do the medical thing. So my dad took me to the chiropractor. And the chiropractor explained that you don't live your life laying down. Okay? When you're depressed, and for me, my drug of choice was sleep. Some people's is drugs or eating too much or overworking or whatever. Mine was sleep. So you have to remember that you cannot live your life laying down. You can't. Can't live your life laying down. Anyway, so the chiropractor made a point that you do not live your life laying down. Okay, you don't. And so when I was laying down and they took the x-ray, it showed I had a curvature in my spine. He had me stand. To do the x-ray. And I did not have scoliosis. My left part of my sacrum, your sacrum is like the triangle shape. There you have your vertebrae, your spine, and then the triangle shape, okay? That's the sacrum. Part of my sacrum is attached to my iliac crest. Your iliac crest is the very top part of your hip bones. They're called iliums, okay? Your hip bones are your iliums. So the top of it is an iliac crest. So a part of my sacrum on my left side is attached to my iliac crest. So it's not by much, but it does have a curve to it. It does at the very end. My spine kind of curves. Tattoo artists have confirmed it, because when I got my first tattoo, I got a tramp stamp. That's what they call it. I didn't know at the time. But anyway, it's a cross with wings and a halo with green in it. And at the top, it says survivor. Because I had cancer. Anyway, so the tattoo artist put it on there. And he's like, it doesn't align. Like, and he had to redo it. He said, you have a curve at the bottom of your spine. I said, I know. I know. Anyway, so I went to physical therapy for like ever. I didn't find somebody who could fix the problem until I lived in Newton, Kansas. '28, maybe? Yeah, I think it was 28. I don't remember having it in school. 28 or 29, because I went back to school when I was 30. So this happened. I remember going to dance practice and wanted to try to do the splits. I couldn't do it. It felt like my hips locked. Like, it wouldn't go any further. Like, she wasn't very happy with me. But I didn't really like her. She was new and she didn't know what the hell she was doing. We're not gymnastic people. We were dance. Anyway, this lady, she pushed on my core and targeted my spine muscles. So all I remember her doing differently. We did exercises that were really, I liked them. All the other times, all they did was put E-stim on me and use instrument assisted A-stim. Yeah, instrument assisted one. Anyway, they're like little plastic things, and they put cream on you or butter, whatever, and then they scrape your muscles. Hurts like a, it hurts. Yeah. Now they would do my hips and my groin. One time, at the very end, the guy at the PT asked me, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good." And he said, I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you went white." Like, I said, it was painful. It was so painful. But he said my face went white. Anyway, but when I only got that done and they really didn't give me anything to do, I couldn't continue with it on my own. I can't do that on my own. That's the thing. They give me little things, but the main thing that they did was the instrument assisted. Because my muscles, you you can tell that something is agitated, whatever, when you feel ripples. Feel like railroad tracks. You feel ripples in your muscles, and you need to break them down. That's the thing. You need to break them down in order for them to heal. And that's what they're doing. At least that's what I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because you have to, they could become red. When you break them down, it makes blood go to that area, and blood is what fixes things, along with other stuff, whatever. But it draws nutrients there, and it mends what it's supposed to mend, because God is good, and He created the body, and it knows how to fix itself if you haven't damaged it too much. Anyway, so I had the idea that I'm going to go to PTA school and learn all the shit that I need to know to help myself. Because I got tired of going to these people. That's why. That's why I went to PTA school. Yes. Going to physical therapy is not cheap. It's not. Luckily, right now, all my bills are being paid for. All of them. And I've seen everybody multiple times. But I've acquired a lot of knowledge. I have. And I get rides there. And my medication is shipped to the door. But I'm going to look into doing it naturally. Because meds always have a side effect of some sort. Food doesn't. Unless you abuse it, I guess. Anyway, so I went to PTA school. At the very end, okay. When I went to school, I went to Colby Community College. And it was known for its excellence. Like, good students came out of there. But the year I went was the year after the main teacher and everything of the whole program quit. She retired. She was old. She retired. And she had mentored Autumn. She was good. I liked her. And she taught biology and so much biology. It's the only thing I really remember. That's the only thing I really remember learning, to be honest with you. Because the other teacher was new, obviously, because they're all new. but he was brand new. He had never taught a class before. He was a PT. He seemed like a really good PT. His name was Kent. But he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. We spent 2 days on manual muscle testing. We went through a book. Each one, we went through a book. I think he was just trying to fill up time. Because honestly, manual muscle testing is done by a PT. It's good for us to learn, but it's not 2 days worth of learning importance. Because that is part of an evaluation. The PT determines all that stuff, and they direct us. I'm an assistant. Now I remember doing contraction stuff, but we never, and massage, we did a lot of massage. My class loved massage. They even did it after class when it wasn't even mandatory. I just went back to my room and studied. I just don't like being around people. I don't. I even tried to study with 2 people one time. I had a bad grade, and they had a good grade. And they're like, oh, I feel bad, blah, blah, blah. That was the only time I did it. Then the next time I took a test, right after, they got a bad grade. I got a good grade. Because the way I studied, I read my notes out loud. I read them out loud, which is usually what I do. But I repeat them so I remember them. But I was just reading them, and they were answering the questions. So I wasn't retaining it. I was just talking. But I wasn't talking to myself. That's the difference. That's why I can't study in a library. When you talk out loud, you're retaining it in another way. If you read it, that's one thing. You read it out loud, so you hear it. You retain it better. Anyway. Second semester, can't stop coming. We didn't have a teacher. And so the old person had to come back. She was not happy, and you can tell she did not put forth much effort. Teachers wouldn't tell us why he didn't come back. But I had walked to Sonic. One day. It wasn't far from the dorms. And he had walked there too. He was already standing there, I think. Or I don't know. We met there. And I asked him what happened. He tried to commit suicide. I asked if it was on purpose. He said, I don't know. But I could tell something was wrong with him. I could. He was always sad. He sat in the lunchroom, ate in the lunchroom a lot. But I could just tell. I could. And I think he's the one that advocated for me. He even told me. Because during our interview, a lot of people didn't want me in there. Turns out. Because I was honest. He said that, we got reviews back too of what they said. And it said that this girl's more interested in helping herself than other people. Because that was the reason I went there, right? Just to help myself. Yes, I was a CNA for 10 years. So me caring for people is just kind of a given. You know what I mean? But the reason I went there was for myself. I want this knowledge for myself. But in return, yes, I'll help other people. You know. That's kind of my nature. Anyway, they don't know me like that. So what they got across was this person is selfish. And I think they asked something about, have you done anything that you have regretted? So yeah, of course. I said I'm bipolar. I'm bipolar. And bipolars make impulsive decisions. They do. At least that's what I was told. And so I told them that. So they knew that I was bipolar. Bipolar type 2. I don't get that manic. Even though my counselor the other day stressed that the fact that I was awake for 2 weeks is a manic episode. But I think if it only happened one time, 2 times, second time was 4 days, and then it sprattered between 2 to 3 days. For that 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And then at the end, I don't think that really puts me into the other category. Because my stepmom, she's manic. At least she used to be when I lived there. She never slept. But it was like for a whole year. You know what I mean? Like, that was just her routine. This is not a routine. It was a cause and effect. Anyway, so he advocated for me. Because he obviously suffers from mental illness. So he reached out to me. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's good. He's back being a PT. And he seemed very good at it. He taught us a pin and stretch, which I think is kind of unique because when I was in PT and I asked her, I said, I need you to do this. I need you to do a pin and stretch for me. She kind of just looked at me. She didn't look like she knew what I was talking about. And she still didn't do it. I mentioned it, but she didn't do it. It's like the blind leading the blind. It's fucking crazy. And I kind of said that in a few words. I was like, I really don't see. I mean, I see the benefit of coming here because you have knowledge that I don't. But not coming here every week. So I go every 3 weeks. Anyway, so I went to PTA school, and my idea was to work in an outpatient clinic because that's where I went. Somebody who is healthy, but just have minor shit going on, to go to outpatient, right? Or they had surgery and they're getting better or whatever. There is different settings. There's inpatient, so people who are in the hospital, you just kind of help them set up, that's the very beginning. They're in the hospital. There's nursing homes, skilled nursing homes, where usually elderly people live. They still need help getting around, make sure they don't fall. You teach them how to stand up, walk properly, use their assisted devices properly, do exercises, work on that balance, doing stairs, those type of things. Then you have neuro. Neuro is a neurological. They never taught us that. That's the thing. They never taught us. Oh my God. People with strokes, basically. And different things you can do and different things you're supposed to do to make things wire correctly. Moving an object from here to over there repetitively. Picking colors. Tossing. Just different things. But they had a stroke. So it's very hard for them. Same thing with their leg, maybe. I don't know. They didn't really teach us that. That's the thing. I don't know what Kent was supposed to teach us. Anyway. They even did an episode with babies. I was not impressed. I don't really like babies. People are like, all goo gaga around these fucking babies. Anyway. That's what the older lady did. That's the only thing I remember her doing. She didn't teach us. She taught us diaphragmatic breathing. We used balloons. But that's the only thing I really remember her emphasizing was the babies. One person went into that type of field. She was young. I think she was like 18. Telling me she was young. She was young. She had the same name as my dog. She just spelled it different. Jaden. I put a Y in there because it was a boy. And it just sounded J. Den. So I spelled it. Jayden. Jaden. Anyway. And I went through them all. I think there's 4 of them. So you're supposed to choose, you had to choose an outpatient, you had to choose an inpatient, you had to choose a neuro. Those were mandatory. You could do skilled nursing facility if you wanted to, I guess. But you had to do a 4th one or 5th one. I don't know. I remember. I think I did 4 of them. Anyway. The neuro one, I didn't really like. That's how I learned groups, though. That's how I learned groups. How you divide people. And we did a core group. That was my group. There was a standing group. There was a walking group. There was a mat group. I like that. I like that part. But we had neuro people, too, because it was a neuro clinic. And she had me work with one person. And I didn't know what I was doing. Because, like I said, they didn't teach us that part. They didn't teach us. Like, I thought going to a clinical, you are going to teach me this part. No, she just got mad at me. She got mad at me because I didn't know what I was doing. Well, how are you getting mad at me for something I don't know? Nobody taught me. The fuck? It was not a good experience. And then there was a guy there that I advocated for him because he was suffering from depression. He was. It was very obvious. And his thing was, what he looked forward to every day was to watch Price is Right. Price is Right comes on at 10. I think Price is Right comes on at 10. But in therapy, you have schedules, right? You go to therapy at certain times. Well, they were taking him to therapy during Price is Right. And I advocated for him because he told me that that's what he looks forward to. Because as a depressed person, you have to find something to get out of bed for. Something. Derek told me that at the very beginning, and I went off on him. I could tell I was agitating him. I did. I went off on him. I said, there's nothing. Like, at that point in my life, there was nothing. I couldn't think of nothing. I kept telling him, there's nothing. He said, think of this, think of that, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept, there's nothing. And he was, yeah, he got mad at me. But that's how I felt. There was nothing worth getting out of the bed. My dog would sleep with me, you know. There was nothing worth getting out of the bed. You have to. That was his thing. His thing was Price is Right. He wanted to get out of the bed for the Price is Right, or at least wake up. So yes, I advocated for him. Because nobody else seemed to catch on to that. Like, it irritated me. Anyway. Well, this man started having a liking toward me. Yeah. He even wrote me letters. I read the first one, and I told my clinical instructor about it, and he had given me another one when I went in there with her, because she came with me, and I gave it to her, and she just threw it in the trash, and then she never assigned me to him again. Yeah. He was an older man. But yeah, I can see why. I can. This girl gets me. Like, yeah, I can see why. swear I see my squirrel. But there's a whole bunch of trees. So if it's on the tree back behind, but I keep seeing something move. I love my squirrels. Oh, yeah, there's one up there. No, I wasn't tripping. Anyway. So, the neuro was a bust. Didn't really tickle my fancy anyway. I really didn't want to go that way because I wanted to do outpatient. So I chose 2 outpatients. I know I could do inpatient. Inpatient was very easy. You know, just barely move them. If they can hardly breathe, you know, that's a devastated state, you know. Or, yeah, that's the one I went to. Though I remember working with a guy. He was hooked up to all these things. We got him to stand, I think. Or they kind of did. Anyway, my goal was to get out of the nursing home setting, okay? That was my goal. I was a CNA for 10 years, and I was tired of it. I was tired of smelling shit in the hallways and cleaning up people, and I always did night shifts because I didn't like to give showers anymore because I shit in the shower. It's like we turn into babies, to be honest, we do. Big babies. Violent babies sometimes. And heavy. Anyway, so I did outpatient. My first outpatient, I stayed in the dorms because you have to figure out places to stay when you go to these places. It could be all over. Some people came here to Oregon. You can do wherever you wanted to go, but you had to provide your own room and board, and I didn't have no money. So I stayed in the dorms. There was an outpatient clinic there. But the only thing I remember doing is massaging. A lot of people had low back pain. So I gave a lot of low back and glute massages. Massaging people's asses, basically. I did see a knee one time, and that's when I learned how to do a glide. But they really didn't. There was no athletes. There were no young people. There were nothing to learn from. I did some ultrasound on somebody's wrist. There was one athlete that came in, but I didn't have him. And I saw her do something with the ball on the wall. I think he was a pitcher. See, that's really all I remember. Like, we did exercises, basic exercises, you know, the dead bug, you know, exercises you can just kind of look up, not specific to an injury of, this is probably where you should do it. You know what I mean? Like, so then the second outpatient, no, I did 3. Because I did 2. I don't remember. Anyway, I went to Garden City. I stayed with Angie. I stayed there for like 5 weeks. So I don't know if that one could have been 2 if I chose that place. I don't think you could choose a place twice though. I don't know. But anyway, I went there. And we just did basic. I didn't see anything unique. You know what I mean? Like, do arm exercises, use a dumbbell, go up, go out, pull these things. You know, like, personal trainer can tell you that. Like, get on this machine for 10 minutes. The only thing I really saw was somebody that wasn't working with me. He was working with a patient with a knee. And he put a weight, an ankle weight, on the bottom of his ankle. And he did like a pendulum to loosen up the joint. See, that's unique. All I saw was a frozen shoulder. And he didn't even let me do that. I did have one lady. She was always with this other person. They're all males. They're all males. And she was always with this guy. And older lady, and she had issues with her leg. And she'd been working with him forever, right? Well, I got her for some reason. Probably because I was, clinical. I don't know. I did massage on her. Her range of motion increased drastically compared to what it had been. But he never did it again. That's the thing. He never did it again. Nobody did massage there. Even though it helped the lady tremendously. And she always wanted me. She did. But if that's all I learned in the outpatient setting, I cannot go into that profession. So I just went back to what I knew. I went back to the nursing home. That's what I did. I went back to the nursing home. And I was not happy. I wasn't. I was good at it. But I was right back in the setting that I was trying to get out of. Just in a different way. At least I wasn't cleaning up shit no more. So, during this time, I'm going to shadow physical therapists. Because you can do that. You can shadow them. If they give you their permission, and then the client that they're with is okay with you observing what they're doing, you have to get their consent too. Then you can watch them. And I'm going to do that since God has blessed me with this spare time that I seem to just be blowing. Come on, Lisa. And then I could just incorporate into my own business. Because I really don't want to deal with injuries. I don't. I want somebody who is healthy. I don't want to have to worry about protocols and contradictions of different things that you're not supposed to do because you really can fuck up shit. But by the time they're an outpatient, they're usually not like that. And I just kind of want to get rid of all that medical stuff. I just want to teach you the basics of an exercise. So I'm going to go and just observe them and different things that they do. Because they instruct you in different ways and they do different things. Instead of going to a personal trainer knows how to use a machine, right? They know that what this muscle does. And if you do this, this muscle will bulk up. Okay? Or if you stretch this and that and, but that's a perfect body. Wonder if you have a bad knee. I want you to do this. Different things. What do you do? That's what I would learn in observing PT. I would not be treating them, no. But I would know how to adjust what they're trying to do in a safe way so they don't further injure themselves. I think his name was Steven. What was his name? The guy at the dog park. It was kind of inspiring. Because I only told him 2 things. I told him, because when he did a squat, his feet were way too far apart. And I could tell that he was tucking his pelvis. You can tell. You can tell when somebody's tucking, posteriorly tilting their pelvis. So I told him, I said, when you go down, act like you're sitting on a toilet. Okay? So he did it. He's like, oh, I can feel that. And it was this kind of like, then his stance was off. That's the second thing I noticed. His stance was off. I said, okay, can you bring your legs in closer? Because they were wider than shoulder width. They were wider. And then he put them way too in. And I was like, no, like underneath you. Like under your shoulders. You have to balance your center of gravity over your base of support. Okay, you have to be in line. If that's when you wonder how to find your stance. But I didn't explain all that to him. I just said spread a little further. Anyway, I said, okay, now try it. And he was like, oh my God. Yeah. He said, we're doing personal training right here. And I was just like, yeah. It was inspiring. It was. And then the fact that he was like, being mad. He was just like, I'm glad I found somebody who was nice. He said, being angry just takes too much energy. I said, I know. And the fact I think that I understood that. A lot of people don't understand that. It takes, you think reacting and fighting back is the way to go. That's the way to defend yourself, Well, and what you're really doing is draining yourself. That's what you're doing. Even though you feel like you're defending yourself, you are draining yourself. You're giving this person your energy. That's what you're doing. And I understood that. And I think that kind of hit home because whatever he said next led me to say, yeah, I've been thinking about becoming a wellness coach. So whatever he said, it was in relation to therapy. I start going to therapy instead of virtual. I start going to therapy next week. Today's Thursday. It's on Tuesday. In person. And we're doing EMDR. I think. Eye movement detection something. I don't know. Something to do with eye movement, but she said that you can do any part of your body, your hands, whatever. It depends on whatever I relate to. But it kind of, we're going to go back. We're going to go back. Further than just what happened. Go back into the past. Should be very enlightening. Should be. She says some people sometimes just want to take a break from it. Because I guess it can become intense. Maybe just talk about what's happening currently. But we'll see. I look forward to it. She sounds like she knows what she's doing. And she knows where to direct me if she feels that I need a different type of brain idea, whatever. Somebody else. She says, it's not about me, it's about you, Lisa. It's about you healing. If I'm not cutting it for you, then, no hard feelings. Okay. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to have a lot of well-rounded information in my brain once I get going. Execution has been my biggest flipping struggle. It has. I gather. That's what I do right now. That's what I've been doing, is gathering. I don't execute yet. I don't. I even just gather my Pilates videos. I can't do yoga. I tried to do it one time because I was like, I was recording something. It was yoga for seniors. And I was like, I'm going to follow one of these. And I started it, and it was nice. And then I was just like, no, because they hold poses. In yoga, you hold poses. That's the difference. To me, that's the difference. Yoga, you hold poses. Or in Pilates, you constantly move. And when your nerves are like mine, hypersensitive, nerves do not like to be kept on tension. They don't. Because I asked the physical therapist, I said, why can't I do a sustained stretch? Like, I can't hold. She said, because nerves don't like that. They do not like to be stretched. They can do a little pulse motions, but they do not like to be held at a stretch. So that's why I did not like yoga. Makes sense. But I just be recording them. That's the thing. Execution, Lord. Please bless me with execution. The other day, I woke up and I realized you have to show up for yourself. You have to. In order to do that, you have to execute. You have to show up. Just like you would your best friend. That's why people say you should have an accountability partner. Because you tend to show up for other people. You don't show up for yourself. Ain't that a bitch? Oh. So yeah. But it's a struggle. It is. It is a struggle. It is. I'm trying. I try to read that every day. It says, every day is a new beginning. Take a deep breath. And start again. But yeah. I think God blessed me with more injuries. So I'll keep going. Because I was stagnant. All I did was watch Disney movies. To be honest with you, back to back. Same ones. I didn't do anything educational. I was just like, I guess this is what it is. Because you're supposed to learn this shit in school. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I thought I was just stuck in the setting that I was stuck in. The one I was trying to get out of. But now that I have this opportunity, I'm going to shadow, learn the knowledge that comes with being a PT regarding just exercise movements, not the clinical, not all of that, because I'm not doing all that. I'm not diagnosing nobody, but I can show you proper ways to do things. That's ergonomic. Useful for daily life. And then take that knowledge with me. And it's free. Shadowing people is free. All it takes is your time. And right now, I have all of it. And I have no kids. Besides my fur baby. And this is what he be doing. He just be chilling. Where's he at? There he is. He can sleep more than I do. So I said I didn't have a reason. I didn't have a reason to get up. My dog was with me, sleeping. I had no reason. I just make sure he eat and go to the bathroom. So when I went to the bathroom, he went to the bathroom, and we would lay back down. So you have to find a reason to get up in the morning. And the reason is you. The reason is you. Your body cannot live properly in its proper healthy state if you're always sleeping. Sleeping is good, yes. Sleeping is healing. Oversleeping, to me, is depression. And I don't eat right. I don't exercise. And that's what I mean by showing up for yourself. Exercising and eating right. And then nurture your mind with something that will help you grow as a person. instead of playing video games 24/7 or watching Disney movies like me. Okay. I'm not judging. I was there. 5 years of it. 4, I guess. This last year was one of a kind. 2024. I'll never forget it. Anyway, yeah. What inspired this video was those pictures. A journey, no matter how long, always starts with a single step. And every day is a new beginning.